Today I'm going to be doing a sourdough tutorial. You don't need to be standing in your kitchen on your feet all day. It's supposed to work for you, and part of working for you means not every loaf may be perfect. It's my biggest philosophy. Try to make it super chill, not overtaking your life. Because it shouldn't. It's bread. We've been making bread like this since the millennia of time. I mean, maybe since Egypt, I think. People did not have time to stand around all day wondering if their starter was risen, right? They were freaking making bricks out of clay, all right? I just stuck 590 grams of water. My starter. I fed this last night. Since it's cold, really cold outside, okay, so it took like 14 hours to even get like usable. Cold weather can really affect your starter. I'm ready to use. I'm anxious to get started. I could say, honestly, I could wait a little bit more, but I'm not going to. I have action on the top. It's about doubled in size, so it's ready to use. You'll notice a change in smell. That's important. Always smell your sourdough. It's like smelling your armpits. It's like pivotal. Anyway, we're gonna add this sourdough directly into the water. Make sure you tare your scale so you reach 0 again. You're gonna add 175. I just dumped that sucker right in. And look, actually, this is a really good sign that my sourdough is ready. It's floating at the top there. It does not hurt to do the float test. If you're wondering like, oh, is my sourdough ready? Just do the float test. It's not gonna hurt anything. You take a little glob of sourdough into a glass of water. It has to be like a golf-sized ball, and then see if it floats. If it does, you can start making sourdough. And now we're gonna stir that up. Now, well, some people do the auto-lease, which means you mix your flour and water and then you add your starter. I think that on busy days, I don't bother. Look at my hair. I'm a mess today, and I don't have time for any of that funny business. So what I'm looking for, I'm just stirring it till it's mostly combined. And then I'm gonna tare my scale again and add 816 grams of flour. Always use King Arthur or another high quality flour because of the protein content, yada yada. You'll hear everybody say that, and it's very true actually. When you don't have the right protein content in your flour, your bread won't be strong. I like a chopstick to stir this around. Like I said, bread should be low maintenance. You don't need a whole starter kit to start making sourdough, okay? You need a bowl, you need a Dutch oven, and a knife, and bread flour, and starter, and salt, and a little bit of love and confidence. It's looking shaggy. And at this point in my recipe, I take out my salt. I have one time forgotten salt, and it was devastating. Your dough is gonna change significantly through this process, so just watch and see. All right, we'll be back to I forgot to say cover your bread. It has been a couple minutes, probably 10, 15. Feel your dough. It should be a little wetter, a little more hydrated. There's flour everywhere. We could have left it for a lot longer, right? We could have let that sucker just kind of marinate, like 30 minutes probably max. We're adding sal. I ate about 17 grams. Actually, without salt, your bread will be nothing. Look at how, in a matter of seconds, our dough suddenly doesn't look shaggy anymore, right? I'm just gonna do a couple more rounds of stretching it over itself. If you don't know what a stretch and fold is, I'm probably the worst person to explain this. I just mess around with the bread. Wag its tail, fold it over itself, get another side, grab that other side, wag that side's tail, fold it over itself. And that's actually what stretching and folding is. That's one method. There's other methods. You know what? So let me just show you what I do for about 10 minutes, and then I'll be back so you don't have to hear me yap for another 10, because trust me, I can. What I'm looking for is for light to stretch through without these tears, right? Right now, every time I lift up a piece of dough, and I can't even lift it without it tearing. You know what that means? Your gluten needs a workout, all right? And your gluten needs you to work it out to strengthen it so that when you grab that glob of dough, you can pick it up, stretch it, light comes through. Doesn't need to be like super thin, but just enough for light to pass through, and it's not tearing. That's called the window pane test. I honestly think we're ready. I'm seeing a lot of light you can't see because you're not here. Light is passing through, plus I'm feeling a little like I want to get going. I got places to be, right? We have enough structure. You'll notice that the dough starts to resist you a little bit. That's normal, right? It's kind of tired of the workout. If it starts to resist you a lot and it still feels like it's not passing that window pane test, let it rest for 10 minutes. Come back to it. Right now, just take a second. Notice how far your dough has come from that little shaggy doggy to a very, very, still a little textured, but very supple dough. And we're gonna watch it become even more supple as the gluten hydrates and all that good stuff. So clean your hands, go outside, take a walk, meditate, burn some incense. 30 minutes from now, we'll do our first stretch and fold. It has been longer than 30 minutes for sure. Look at how squat she looks. Now we're entering our stretch and fold series. We're only gonna do a scoop, a whoop, a scoop, a whoop, a scoop. We're gonna do that 4 times. 4 times. I'm gonna scoop it up and then fold it over itself. Look at how stretchy that dough has become. I'm gonna scoop it, turn the bowl, scoop it again. So we're gonna rotate the bowl every time and then scoop, give it a little wag, fold it over itself. And then one more set. I'm not going to show you every 30 minutes what it looks like, but notice how buoyant it is. It hasn't risen a lot, but it's started to rise, and we're just going to be looking for subtle changes in our dough. Say goodnight, and then come back in 30 minutes. Much time has passed since we've last seen me on my bread. You should be smelling some fermentative smells. Should see some bubbles. It's a lot lighter than when we started, and it's super supple. I'm gonna dump this puppy out. It's been about 4 hours, maybe more, maybe less. Let it plop on the table. This is when a little not sharp knife or bench scraper will be useful. Confidently, and when I say confidently, I mean confidently, split that sucker in half, right? Straight down the middle, more or less. So now you have 2 pieces of dough, and now I'm gonna take these pieces, kind of make a little circle with them. You'll notice a lot of bubbles. You should be noticing some bubbles. Don't pop them, be gentle. At this time your dough is she's kind of not fragile, but you want to treat her with some integrity, you know? And then I'm going to fold one side into the middle, another side into the middle, one side to the corner, middle, and then other side. Then I'm going to flip it over, toss it gently, and I like to use this part of my hand to just kind of like push those seams in a little bit. And this is our first set of, I don't know what you'd call this, but shaping, I guess. you can still see I need to shape a little better. So I'm gonna just, but it doesn't matter. I'm just tightly coiling my ball. I'll come back in like 10 minutes after this. Let these balls kind of flop out. Okay, it's supposed to be 10 minutes from now that I'm doing this step, but to be honest, it's been like 2 minutes, but I realized that I'm behind schedule and I have to do this now. So to prove to you that bread making doesn't need the fancy tools, I'm gonna show you using my bannetons and not using my bannetons. I haven't used this sucker in months. I just use a bowl. I'm just gonna sprinkle flour, but so anyway, like I said, I could have let it rest and relax a little bit more, but I simply did not have the time. That was super fragrant right now. I'm trying to push all these like little, oops, just popped a bubble. Trying to push coil in the center so it's really tight. And then seam side up, so this is gonna be flipped over. You can use your bench scraper if you're a novice, but come on, you're better than that. I'm literally using a takeout container to prove to you you don't need nothing to make sourdough. And then some people like to like pinch the seams over each other. You do you. At this point, I say I fly free. And then I'm gonna cover these, put them in the fridge, and we'll be back in like 8, 12 hours, 14, 24 if you forget. Okay? Okay. You can see we've changed locations. I have 2 Dutch ovens. You only need 1 unless you really want to save time. We are gonna make sure a rack is at the bottom of the oven. Change that before you heat it, ideally. And then we're gonna stick these puppies in and let them heat up. Oven's gonna go to 425. Little girl, big kitchen. We're gonna let that heat up for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I have my parchment out. And now I'm gonna get my very hot, oh, I need my dough. Our dough is ready. It bounces back. Make sure you flour the bottom of your surface. You don't need to excessively flour because it's only really gonna go in the middle part. Then you're gonna, wow, that flopped out really easy. The nice thing about using a cloth, you should probably put a cloth in whatever container you use because it just flops a little easier. All right, so make sure your bottom is really floured. You see how without a cloth, it just kind of is a little trickier to come out. You don't want to, you're gonna be pretty gentle with it. Oh, it's gonna kind of have a nice shape. All right, so now that we have these 2 lovely little ladies, I'm gonna do slits and kind of show you how far. I'm gonna try this knife, we'll see if it works. Start from one side. You should not be sawing like me. That is not ideal. You wanna do a nice, gentle slit so it kind of starts to open up. You see how there's some, it's a good slit. Now, if you have a better knife, more power to you. Yeah, ideally you don't wanna be going over and over again. Out. They are hot. They are hot. All right, make sure you have a place for your lid. I just stick it right in. Plop it right in, bada bing, bada boom. That's it. So again, it's just 425. Alexa, set the timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now.
I don't really know my timing because most of the time it just smells fragrant. And then I take a peek, take the lid off. So, as you can see, sourdough should fit into your life. I'm in the middle of my workout and okay, so we're looking good here. I like it a little darker than that. Ooh, that one rose nicely. All right, little mama, we're getting you out of here. This one's got some nice blistering, but we're gonna do like 5 more minutes on it. And see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead, pop that temp down a little bit, because I really don't like bread that's too crunchy on the outside. Get excited because final product is here. Now we get to the most exciting phase of the bread. I usually wait longer to cut it, but feeling hungry. So I always like to do a side cut because I feel like when the bread's really spongy, you can get a better cut this way. So anyway, it's delightful. Like, it should be good. This one's really sour. Definitely has had enough time to ferment. Quality is there. The tartness is there. Slather that, John, with some butter. You got yourself a good afternoon. You're welcome. And I'm gonna go devour this off camera so you don't have to see. Anyway, it's delicious. You can't go wrong. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.